This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome in. We turn our attention here to betting on golf. We love it. We talk about it every single week. So we transitioned from the Century on Maui last week to the Sony on Oahu this week. And Indy Jeff Seeley joins the program now. Follow him on X. He's at Cupmaker Jeff and part of the Cupmaker podcast as well. He's on the Progressive guest line. Good to talk to you, pal. Hope you're well. Let's start here. Hideki, of course, won the first tournament of the year last weekend at 35 under, which is absolutely nuts. Where do you think that winning number is going to be this weekend?
Honestly, guys, I think it'll be less than half of that this week. And it's primarily because of the wind, right? Anytime we look at Hawaii, we know that these courses are really easy if there's no wind, a la last weekend. And when you look at the forecast, about Friday late afternoon, the wind starts to come in, and it should be between 15 and 25 miles an hour for most of the weekend. So that's how it's projected now. Obviously, anything can happen. The forecast can change. But as of now, it looks like it's going to be pretty windy. And if those winds keep up, I think it'll be somewhere between 15 and 17, a lot less than we saw this past weekend.
Yeah. Tough for Hideki to repeat that, I would think, this week, right? I mean, being so good now to do it again this weekend. Are you touching him at all?
Well, I'm not, especially when he was rolling in 50-foot putts like it was his job, right? That's not something Hideki traditionally does. So I'm not that, again, we've seen people go back to back before. Like, would it shock me? No. And plus, he's the best player in the field. Would it be shocking? No, it wouldn't be shocking, but I think it's unlikely just given it's hard to do twice, and he had a lot of putting luck, something he's not necessarily known for.
Give us some guys 20 to 30 to 1 in that range that you're looking at.
Yeah, guys, I like Tom Kim this week. I think after Hideki, he is the best player in the field. Here's one critical stat. He's gained over a stroke a round in very windy conditions. So tuck that away. He's a very good wind player. Gained across the board here, tee to green last year, but totally bombed with his putter. Shortly after this tournament, he hired Paul Tesori, Webb Simpson's former caddy, as his caddy. I expect him to learn from the mistakes last year. I expect the putting to be solid, and he plays very well at these short par 70s. So Tom Kim, 20 to 1, I think is a great price on the second best player in the field. And I'm going back to the well, albeit at a lower price, on Ben On, 28 to 1 this week. Last week he was bad with his irons and bad with his putter. He's really good around the greens in Bermuda rough, just like we'll see this week. And when a big gust of wind comes and forces a chip, I think Ben On can recover better than most. But most importantly, he's just comfortable here in general. Great finish last year, gaining fourth across the board. Coming in fourth, just gained across the board, 8 strokes tee to green. Putted well last year. I just expect a great improvement overall. I like Ben a lot too at plus 280 to finish top 10. I think it's a good price, and I think we can see him finish there.
Very good. Okay, so for those in the audience new to the program, and you've been on with us now for a good 4 or 5 years probably, other than betting these guys outright, will you be adding Kim and or Ben On in the placement markets, top 10, top 20, anything like that?
Yeah, so Ben On and Kim, I'll bet both top 10 and top 5 and outright. On some books that offer each-way bets, I'll take some each-way bets on those. For those who aren't familiar, that's where for double your bet, you can take first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or like win, place, show at a lower payout across the board there. But I'll be playing each-way bets on those guys. And some of these higher guys, when you look at some of the higher the price, the better they are to play each way, because there's nothing worse than having 100 to 1 bet who comes in second, right? Yeah. So the advantage of those each-way markets is really big. If you can find those bets, those are great things to play in golf.
Okay. And you're right back. You love your guy, Sepp Straka? He got top 20?
Yeah, I do like Sepp Straka. He was top 20 last week, and he's one of the best players in the field off the tee with less than driver. And if it does get really windy, I think a lot of guys will club down a little bit just to keep the ball in the fairway. Sepp Straka, terrific off the tee without a driver. He opened 60 to 1 Monday. He's down to 45s. He's a 42 there at Circa. I do like him, especially as the top 20 play, and he came through his last week there. So always like Sepp Straka in those spots. But a guy I really like who's really interesting, opened at 40, now down to 35, is Austin Eckroat.
Okay.
He has a win. He had a win in Diamante back in November, 17th at the RSM around Thanksgiving, following it up with a 15th at the Century last week. and sits in a really prime spot to improve his average here. So he is arguably the best player in the field off the tee with less than driver. So I think that's a really interesting spot. Plays well in the wind. So I think he's at very least a top 20 play. I'm going to play him top 20, top 10, a little outright too. Keep a good eye on Austin Eckroat. And then last guy, guys, Ben Griffin. If the wind isn't a huge factor and it's not as bad as we think, look for a spot to play him potentially live. He grades out really well. He's actually one of the top 10 players in the field, just in general, over the last 12 months, but he's not a terrific wind player. So if the wind's not as bad as we think and everybody's playing and bet accordingly, we may be able to get a really good price on Ben Griffin. I'm going to put a little bit on him on the top 20, a little bit on the outright, keeping an eye on the wind. But keep an eye on him going into the weekend. If the wind's not going to be bad, look to play him live.
All right, very good. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Jeff Seeley. He is on the Progressive Guest Line, comes on a weekly basis to talk about golf, give out best bets. What did you make of the event that was on ESPN last night? Keep in mind that Tiger's going to be playing next Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I give it a 4 out of 10. I think I have a tough time, guys, like watching people just play in the simulator. And while, yes, it was an enhanced simulator and some of the technology they had was cool, I don't see it being successful long-term. At least I don't think I'm going to watch it long-term. And I know some people have said that they like this better than Live Golf. I think those people in general probably just want to hate Live Golf, which is fine. You can have your opinion, but I think Live is dramatically better than this. It's fine. I think it'll have some initial run. Again, Tiger will play when Rory plays. These guys will get some run, and people will watch it first, but I think it will have a relatively short shelf life, and I'll be surprised if it makes it back past 2 seasons. I think the XFL made it at least 2 seasons, right?
Yes.
Could have higher ratings than Live. The production value is better. They have
and they're on ESPN.
Yeah.
They got ESPN going for it, right? I mean, just by virtue of the fact that you're on ESPN, you're going to have eyeballs at first. But again, I just think some people will. There's just so many other things to watch, and I mean, I'll have it on. Am I going to watch intently? Probably not, to be honest.
I love excruciating beats in fantasy football because I've been through so many in my playing days anyway, and it just sucks. But everybody can relate for the most part. Tell us about the one that you had in the championship round this week.
Yeah, so guys, I was I played daily fantasy on DraftKings like most people, like a lot of people every week, and I was winning. And they need to change this rule. We'll talk about this in a second. But they need to change the rule. I lost by 1/100th of a point, and this has happened to others, so I'm not alone. When Josh Dobbs took a knee, I lost 1 yard rushing and lost my tournament because of that, which has about as frustrating because I was like, the other guy had no time left. There was no way for me to lose unless I lost a yard, which is exactly what happened. And I really think the NFL should, like, from official scoring purposes, if a guy's taking a knee, just make it a 0, not a -1. That to me is the most tilting thing in all of daily fantasy sports, whatever. The take a knee, lose a yard. Imagine if you had look, you guys are big prop guys. Imagine you had Lamar Jackson over 100 yards rushing. He's at 101, takes 2 knees, and you're down to 99, and you lose it all.
It happened to Mahomes in the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right, yes, right.
Oh, it's a kick to the breadbasket, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, they should just – I mean, I don't know how they would do it, but if you give yourself up like that, official stats is 0 or something, I think that's worth but, yeah, it's the worst. And it's, and it's what makes it entertaining. But, man, that is a brutal beat, no question.
No doubt. Follow Jeff on X. He's at Cupmaker Jeff. Thanks, pal. Good luck this week.
Oh, take care.
There you go. He was on the Progressive Guest Line. Arash Markazi tweeted out moments ago, according to the official account at Moon Shadows in Malibu, it's gone.
No. Oh, God.
I've never been there.
I've been there so many times. I love it.
The photos that he just sent out.
Oh, no.
Oh, wow. It's God's country.
Oh, the food. It's the best view you're ever going to.
The view is, come on.
Oh, my God. I was going to take Shauna there on vacation.
10 out of 10.
Moonshadow.
Yeah.
That's where Mel Gibson was at and got tanked up when the DUI and everything.
Oh.
It's gone?
He just tweeted it out.
Oh, my God.
Man, this is...
Oh.
I can't believe some of the videos that are coming out. There was a guy who was stuck in his house who did not evacuate with his dog. His whole world around him is burning to the ground. And I saw the tweet like on the For You part today when I woke up. It automatically goes to that, when you're on your X sometimes. And people are just like, I went down the rabbit hole, and people are like, hopefully this guy made it out alive. Well, I would hope that he posted it after he got out.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
All right, getting ready for Big Game 59 with a big deal. The match, save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code FTM. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting guides. Don't miss out on this big game deal. VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code FTM.
Win-lose is next, and we'll go over look-ahead numbers for the divisional round in the NFL playoffs coming up next on VSiN.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah. This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Paulie Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. Love Wednesdays. Love our next guest even more. Vito's son joins the program. Sal Paolantonio, who has covered the NFL, been at ESPN for more than 3 decades. Hall of Famer. He's on the Progressive Guest Line. And he just walked out of the Eagles locker room, just left Eagles practice. Sal Pal, thank you for the time as always. How did they look? More importantly, how did quarterback Jalen Hurts look?
The team is very happy. All smiles here in South Philadelphia, Mitch and Paulie. The prodigal son, number 1, is back on the practice field after a 3-week absence. So I was looking for 3 specific things on the practice field. They practiced at Lincoln Financial Field because the practice field here at the NovaCare complex across the street was all iced over. So we were on the field at Lincoln Financial Field looking for 3 things. His movement. His movement was with confidence. He was running with confidence. He showed that, he could really run. It could really move laterally and, of course, vertically. No problem. Secondly, how was the ball coming out of his hands? Clean and crisp with a lot of velocity, a lot of trajectory, and good rotation on the ball, very accurate with the football. What specifically was I looking for? Well, it was really interesting. They had the 4x4 blocking dummies on their side, and he was straddling them, and he was using them to make sure he had the right balance and footwork when he threw the football. Now, it's very rare that he uses those blocking dummies, but they use it when players come out of concussion, when quarterbacks are coming out of the concussion protocol, because they really test their balance. The neurological balance of these players coming out of concussion protocol is so important. So there's 2 steps now. He's in phase 4 of the concussion protocol. Phase 4 means you can get back out onto the field. He can do football activities. He will be tested tonight, right away, after practice, to see how he responds and how the numbers look based on his original testing back 3 weeks ago, whether he's making progress. And then they will clear him for full contact. The doctor will clear him, and then the independent neurological consultant will clear him for full contact later in the week so he can play on Sunday. So he's got 2 more important hurdles to get over before he can get on the field Sunday.
Incredible job. That's why you're a Hall of Famer. Great answer. What's your level of concern with the other quarterback who Love says, I hope to play? The hand's okay, but maybe the elbow's giving him issues.
Well, when you get hit in the funny bone, the ulnar nerve, in your, if you're right-handed, let's say, it's happened to all of us. Anybody, you play football, baseball, tennis, whatever it is, golf. What does it really impact? Not only your elbow, but your fingers, your grip, your accuracy. Remember, your arm strength comes from your arm, comes from your shoulder. Your accuracy comes from your fingers, especially the pinky finger in a football player, in a quarterback. The pinky finger is the last finger to leave the football laces. You got to have a good, solid grip on your pinky finger and your ring finger. That controls the accuracy of the football. And those 2 fingers are often impacted by a funny bone hit, by an ulnar bone hit. So that's really key, is accuracy for Jordan Love in this football game.
I think I can sense where you're going with this. You can call your shot if you would like. Is this game going to be a bloodbath, a burial when they get together on Sunday?
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be a total rollover by the Eagles. And I'll tell you why. There's a couple of interesting trends. First and foremost, Matt LaFleur is 19-16 outright as an underdog, including the playoffs. 19-16. He's the only coach in the Super Bowl era to have a winning record outright as an underdog. The Eagles are 8-11 in wild card games all time. They played 19 wild card games, more than any other team in NFL history. And they're 8-11. They've lost 3 straight wild card games at home. They haven't won a wild card game at home since 2006. So there are 2 big trends, in my view, that are going the wrong way for the Eagles. I like the Packers and the points.
Oh, surprise. Be careful now. The guy who cut your lawn's an Eagle fan. The guy who cut your hair's an Eagle fan. Your mailman's an Eagle fan.
I know. They're not listening, right? Of course they are. They're all listening to VSiN. But, you got to be super careful in these wild card games when you got 2 teams that know each other very well, 2 quarterbacks that are questionable going into this game. You got to be super careful. You had 146 games decided by 1 score or less, most in NFL history. This is a 1-score league. These teams played one another in a 1-score game back in Brazil. Remember, the Packers are the only team to have multiple interceptions against Jalen Hurts this season. They had 2. He had 3 turnovers in that football game. Yeah. The Packers were 1 for 4 in the red zone. 1 for 4 in the red zone. If they are 2 for 4 in the red zone, they win the game.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game, too. Also, a little concerned with what Philly did and what they look like defensively against Washington. Do you see any game being a blowout then?
I do. I think Baltimore blows out Pittsburgh, and I think the Bills blow out the Broncos.
Okay.
The Broncos don't have very many wins against quality opponents, and the Steelers can't score. There's something going on with that Steelers offense. I like Baltimore and Buffalo in blowouts. I do.
Yep, so do I. What do you think about the first game? Chargers laying 2.5 or 3 against the Texans.
Yeah, I looked at that game, and it's really interesting. That game is a very interesting game because Houston plays well at home. Houston plays well in that first wild card game. They always have.
Yep.
And this is new territory for the Chargers. So I looked it up. Home underdogs in wild card games are 29-1 against the spread, 16-14 outright. I like Houston.
That's strong? Damn.
I like Houston.
All right. How about Washington and Tampa? I like the dog in this game. What do you think?
Favorites of at least 9 points or 15-1 outright. So that's why I like the Broncos and Baltimore in that game. The Bucks. The Bucks are an interesting team. They're 5-1 against teams with winning records this year. They play up to their level of competition. They really do. And Todd Bowles in his history has done really well against rookie quarterbacks, especially rookie quarterbacks that run. And in the fourth quarter of that game, it's a late game. I don't think Jaden Daniels is going to be as effective against the Bucs defense. I like the Bucs in that game.
Are you hearing anything at all? I know you've been at Eagles practice today, but what do you think happens with the game in Los Angeles Monday night with these horrific wildfires taking place?
I haven't really heard, gentlemen. I really haven't. I've been so focused here. So I have not. Obviously, we're just thinking and praying for those people. It's just an absolute horrible tragedy. And the last thing they need is a football game to, the first thing is you got to get this thing straight. It's a terrible, terrible situation. We pray for them.
How much notice would you need if you're the league and to let everyone know if you're moving it out of that area?
I just don't know the answer to that question. I really don't. I don't know the answer to that. That's a 1-800-ADAM Schefter question.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I'll throw in a 1-800-ADAM Schefter question. That's it. Look Schefter's social media. He'll be breaking the story before anybody else.
No kidding. Do you want to? Okay, I asked you about calling your shot once. I'll ask you again here. Do you want to throw out two teams that are going to be playing on Super Bowl Sunday?
It's a little early.
I know.
Let's see. It's a little early. Let's see how Jalen Hurts does this week, because I think the Eagles win the game. They squeak out a victory. I do believe that they do. And, I think they have the strongest roster in the NFC. But, and there's always a but, right, guys? You got to go up there and play Detroit in Detroit. And by the way, I called Detroit way over the Vikings, as you remember last week. I said I love Detroit in that game. And you look at what Aaron Glenn did.
Uh-huh.
So I know Aaron Glenn very, very well. I used to play basketball against him on the media team against the Jets coaches up in Cortland State University for a summer. And Aaron Glenn and I used to bang underneath the hoop all the time. He's a great guy. I love Aaron Glenn. He's the best. So I know, but he coached under Rex Ryan. And Rex Ryan's dad was Buddy Ryan. And Buddy Ryan was the author of the 46 defense. Blitz the safety up the middle. That was Buddy Ryan's defense that they threw at Sam Darnold. Lock, stock, and barrel. Took it right out of the Buddy Ryan playbook. And you can bet that Aaron Glenn, shorthanded on defense, is going to be blitzing every quarterback that comes into Detroit.
Yeah, that was great. In like 30 seconds here, which team in the AFC will go to Kansas City and beat them?
Good question. I think Baltimore is equipped to do it because their defense is better than Buffalo. But, and there is always a but, Lamar Jackson turns the ball over too much, and that's one thing that Josh Allen has cured this year. He has not turned the ball over like he has in the past. I think both teams are a little flawed. The bottom line is Andy Reid's got too many options on offense now, and they control the middle of the field. And with that defense of Steve Spagnuolo, they're going to be really, really tough to beat. But we got a long road to go, baby.
Sure.
It's Super Wild Card weekend. Come on, next week we'll talk about that.
All right.
You got it. Sal Pell, A+ appearance. Thank you.
We emptied a notebook today, baby.
You did
Nailed it.
for sure.
And bang it down low under the. Well, that is interesting. I wouldn't be shocked if it's Willis. He's hurt though too.
I know.
That's a great breakdown on that elbow.
If you missed Derek Stevens' incredible Survivor story yesterday, you're going to hear it coming up next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. Good to have you on board here on a Wednesday. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We're live downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. And here you go with Mike Palm, VP of this great property. Time for You Cannot Be Serious.
You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
Let's start out with an organization, the Tennessee Titans. This is just unfathomable to me. And it's the first time it's happened in history. And they went off as favorites again. Did you know they went off as favorites 6 times this year? The Titans were favored in 6 games this year. And, of course, 0-6 against the spread as a favorite and 2-9 as a dog. 2-15 against the spread. This will never, ever, ever happen again in the history of professional football. Maybe in sports on any 19-game run that you can go, 17-game run that you can go 2-15. The Titans, the Tennessee Titans.
You cannot be serious.
How about our boy Gerard Mayo? Now, I always had a level of weariness about him because of the way the whole Belichick thing went down. He was Belichick being groomed, and then how he met with Kraft secretly and all that. And then you think, well, there's some sympathy for the guy because what was this team going to do? I mean, they won 4 games. The roster is completely devoid of talent. I mean, it's awful. It's this much below the rest of the league. And they have a good young quarterback. Then he got prickly in the press conferences. So it was I thought it was a little surprising that immediately Kraft came out and fired him after the game. And here comes this story now. Off the bye week, New England goes to Arizona. I watched this whole game because I had several in-game bets on the total. Got absolutely waxed by a 6-7 Cardinal team at the time that was in a free fall. Remember, they'd gone from being 2 games up in the division to having lost 3 in a row. They were down 23-3 early in the 4th. Eventually, a couple of garbage time touchdowns. They lose 30-17. Now the long flight home back to Boston. The rest of the assistant coaches are on the front of the plane watching the game tape. What's Gerard Mayo do? He went to the back of the plane and played cards with the players. Looked at no tape at all. I have no empathy whatsoever for him. Gerard Mayo.
You cannot be serious.
More stories out of Miami from the barista, McDaniel. How these guys now were consistently late to meetings all year round. You saw Tyreek Hill quit with no real apparent injury or new injury. Just didn't go back in, took himself out of the game. And now they address these things with McDaniel about, is it true, right? McAfee came out about the Colts culture. People didn't show up for meetings, didn't show up for their training sessions. That there was a group of guys consistently late for every meeting in Miami. And he fined them each and every time, although the fines did not at all change their behavior. I go back to it once again. They didn't want Vic Fangio. They never wanted an adult in the room down there. They didn't want Brian Flores. They didn't want Vic Fangio. He coached them too hard. And this is what you get. This goofy barista wearing capris in Green Bay, Wisconsin at night on Thanksgiving. Mike McDaniel!
You cannot be serious.
You know, the Steelers are the only team in the history of the NFL to enter the playoffs on 4 straight losses.
Oh.
That's never happened before. And it's only happened like 3 times that teams had 3 straight losses. Again, the fourth quarter with Tomlin is always baffling to me. He gives up so early in games. We've seen it 3 or 4 different times this year. I get it was 4th and 18. So they kicked the 54-yard field goal. You make a one-score game with 2:39 left on Saturday. And, amazingly, the Bengals go 3 and out. And you get the ball back under 2 minutes with 1 timeout left. And what do you do with Russell Wilson? Throw 3 passes inbound short of the sticks to run the whole clock down.
Yep.
They gained 17 yards and took 1 minute and 10 seconds off the clock out of 1 minute and 51. This was your plan? If we could do, we'll kick a 54-yard field goal. We'll stop them. We'll only have to use 2 timeouts. And when we get the ball back, we'll throw 2-yard passes over the middle. This was the plan? Mike Tomlin.
You cannot be serious.
I want to address the college football playoffs, guys, because I find this very, very interesting. And I think it's all a result of the way they did the seedings this year. But here's some very interesting facts. You know, Derek had predicted that those games on campus, the only sellout would be Notre Dame. Not true. Drew tremendous crowds at all 4 games. But did you know in the quarterfinal round, this on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, that only the Rose Bowl sold out? There were empty seats in every stadium except the Rose Bowl. And here's an even more damning fact. The viewership for the SMU Penn State game, okay, in the first round of the playoffs, it was outdrawn by 3 bowl games. The Pop-Tart Bowl had more viewers.
Well, I get that one.
The Alamo Bowl had more viewers because of Colorado. And the ReliaQuest Bowl all had more viewers than the first round game of the playoff between SMU and Penn State. This is very, very clear evidence they've got to change the seeding. I mean, look at the seeding. It's 5, 8, 6, 7. It's all the teams that didn't get the byes that could have been 1, 2, 3, 4, and you wouldn't have got these matchups where you didn't get sellouts in the second round. College Football Committee and the NCAA.
You cannot be serious.
All right, then let's go back to Matt LaFleur. And, you know, I felt very bad for the people that had the Packers. I thought the Packers was a safe play in Survivor, and I said this. Why would you want to go to Philadelphia when you could go to L.A. or Tampa or Atlanta, right? Why would you want to go back and play Philadelphia again? You're playing the Bears. But the Bears had lost 10 games in a row, right? They were in a complete free fall. You beat them all the time for the past decade and a half. Let's just start out. We'll just take the fourth quarter. Let's just examine the fourth. Forget about the fake punt where they didn't know what they were doing.
How did that work, by the way?
They all had no idea. Can't you track the ball in the air?
Untouched.
I've seen that happen in college. I've very rarely seen it happen in the pros. The Bears had 1 first down, and they were up 2 scores. The very first play of the fourth quarter, they're on the Chicago 37-yard line facing 4th and 3. Okay? Now, you're down by 1 at the time. Why wouldn't you just bring McManus in and kick the field goal to take the lead and put the pressure back on Caleb Williams and the Bears? You know he's got the range from there. We've seen it. And in the cold weather, him do it at night, in fact. No. We're going to run 4th down. We're going to run a jet sweep and lose 5 yards. What are they doing? That play to Jaden Reed never had any chance in the world. They had no blocking out in front for him at all. I thought that was ludicrous. Then the Bears were snapping the ball with 1 second left on the clock every time. I said, what? You know what Thomas Brown's trying to do? He's trying to have a 57-yard drive that lasts 13 minutes. And then they break the play and they score the touchdown. They go for 2 and don't get it. They move the ball to the 1 and then they kick the point. I don't know. Let's just move back. So I had a big middle set up on the game as well. And out of the 2-minute warning, I bet the Packers plus $4 on the money line. Because the Bears are not going to run out the clock. The Packers are going to go 50 yards and kick a field goal to win the game, right? Go ahead. They fumbled the first play out of the 2-minute warning. They fumbled the first play, DJ Moore on that goofy slant. David Haw, who's on TV and radio in Chicago, had a great line. Whoever the Bears' next head coach they hire must swear they get rid of the bubble screen. And as they come out, they run that all the time. They lose yards every time. Yeah. So they fumble the ball. Here's what I don't know. Why was LaFleur in such a rush to kick this field goal and give the Bear a minute? He runs for 6 yards on first down, and they're in a no huddle, hurrying up to run on second down. He runs for another 2 yards. He has 3rd and 2. He goes into the no huddle again and then calls a timeout on 4th and 4 to leave the Bears 50 seconds. The Bears had 1 timeout. If you don't call the timeout, they're calling it. What are you doing? You gave the Bears the maximum amount of time to come back and win this game, and you let them save your timeout. What is he doing? Under any thought process, that kick isn't the last play of the game. Matt LaFleur.
You cannot be serious.
That's the segment this week.
How come that game came across to me as if the Packers had zero sense of urgency to win the game when the Commanders were in trouble?
They were losing the whole game in Dallas.
Okay, very good. I'm surprised at you. He didn't care. He wasn't calling timeouts on defense, and both quarterbacks were hurt. He wanted to get out of there. Remember, both guys were hurt.
Then why run hurry up at the end?
Well, he ran in the line 3 times. Just wanted to.
I know, but he's running hurry up.
He didn't care.
Well, the whole thing I thought was bad.
He settled for a 55-yard field goal. He just happened to make it because he wasn't calling timeouts.
No, he was not calling timeouts.
He let it go down to the 2-minute warning.
Which was so weird to me when I'm watching the game unfold.
He was just going to take the L.
Well, he still had 3. He hadn't used a timeout yet.
Why wouldn't you take one, though?
Yeah.
Well,
it didn't make
you're
any
supposed
sense
to take him on the other side. But the Bears still needed 1 more first down coming. And that's why I bet the Packers play. I said they're not going to make a first down, and the Packers are going to get the ball back. Let's be real also. Willis played better than Love in the game.
Yeah, but we had Sal Pell on 50 minutes ago.
Yeah.
He made the case for the Packers. Love is banged up.
Well, this is big, yeah.
The elbow, right?
Yeah.
Love got cleared.
Grip, it was a beautiful answer. With the grip and.
Yeah. Do you think Ohio State rolls?
Oh yeah. Okay, this Texas offense is. Think about this. They go 2 plays, 70 yards, touchdown against Arizona State. Then they run the kickback, and they did nothing again until overtime.
They were getting absolutely killed in that game.
This offense goes into lulls that last 2 quarters. Ohio State will get so far out ahead of them, it's not going to be funny.
I don't disagree. I think
I laid 6 right away.
Yeah,
I didn't want it to get to 7.
Okay, I said earlier I think this is going to be UConn in college basketball last year.
Could be.
Good chance, right? We're looking back.
Let's go back and just replay that Michigan game. How could that be? You got 2 and 4. You can't stop either of them, and 2 of the best 5 running backs in the country in your backfield.
Great job, Mike. We'll see you Friday night.
Friday night, 8 o'clock.
Yep. One of the games of the year in the NBA tonight. We'll discuss next.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I'll bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
All right, Murray, no good. This has been a nice run with Murray, but not even close as he went over his points total. It's a 17-2 under run. Always check out vsin.com with the prop analyzer. That was no good. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, each team a touchdown and a field goal. Lowest one out there, minus 175. Penn State +2 against the Irish. Herbert rushing yards over 18.5. Russell Wilson over rushing yards 14.5. Clippers to win the Pacific +220. Big one in Denver tonight, although Kawhi away from the team. This is at Circa. Very cool. Every team to score at least 10 points. +160. They also have will a team score 40 and will a team score 50. Will a team score 50 is 8-1. Herbert no interception, $1.30. Vikings first quarter money line. Chop that. The Rams are the second worst team this year in the first quarter. 1.8 points per game. The Vikings are the second best first quarter. And Riley Leonard rushing yards over. This is all over the place. This afternoon it was 42.5. Now it's 46.5 at Caesars. It's 48.5 at other spots. And it's higher than that. So Leonard over rushing yards tomorrow as well. As we start with 5 straight playoff games, Notre Dame and Penn State, Orange Bowl. Let's go. Let's get after it.
All right, recapping last night's action for me. Pittsburgh Duke under.
Rocking chair.
At 143.5, that was good. Bridges over 6.5 rebounds, that got there. And I was right there with Murray. I think that, again, he had like 18, at halftime. So no shot.
He took a lot of shots.
He did. He was scoring right away, so that continued for the entire game. So 2-1 last night. A couple of pending here. Knicks to win their division, plus 350. Ohio State to win the title at plus 115. Lou Dort, NBA Defensive Player of the Year at 60-1. Here are the new plays for tonight. Little Sony Open action. We're going to go Maverick McNeely, top 20, plus 140. Again, I like the way that he closed last year on tour. He got his first ever win. As Matt Humans likes to say, once that happens, sometimes like the floodgates can open, right? Not going to go to win here this week, and he golfed extremely well last week of the Century. Hoping for a carryover here at the Sony this week, plus 140, top 20. College basketball, the Bonnies, 13-1 ATS. Yeah. I know that on some of my college basketball plays, I'm going against the market, so that can end up very ugly. But here we go. St. Bonaventure, plus 3.5 against St. Louis. St. Louis taking money overnight into today. Ole Miss, again, not going crazy with these bets, but Ole Miss plus 4.5 against Arkansas. That number has come down a little bit in my favor. And I'm a little hesitant here to go a little bit bigger on this game. So I think this Ole Miss squad is really, really good. But again, keep in mind, what have we talked about now the last couple of days? Teams off of really bad performances, betting on them the next night. Arkansas was horrific against Tennessee over the weekend. I would expect a bounce back, but I'm getting a couple of possessions here with Ole Miss. So I'm taking it. This is in action right now, but told you I was betting this earlier in the show. UConn even money. It's actually a bad number because it got as high as plus 110, I believe, money line against Villanova. And Kansas, Arizona State under 143.5 tonight as they play in some Big 12 action. One prop that I have so far, NFL action. Derrick Henry, talked about this in this hour as well. Derrick Henry over 5.5 receiving yards, minus 125.
We're getting ready for Big Game 59 with a deal to match. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription when you sign up using promo code FTM. Mackinnon with the trends and all the great info. Peterson with hoops. Cohen with the NBA. Excellent stuff up there. Nigel with soccer. Have you covered every sport and the prop analyzer, NFL and NBA. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, the dog videos, the moose videos, VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code FTM. Save $59 off the VSiN Pro annual subscription today. VSiN.com/subscribe. That prop we discussed yesterday has moved to DraftKings. Will every team have a rushing touchdown? It's now 170-1. Doesn't seem that crazy. Doesn't seem that hard. And a lot of good backs are playing this weekend.
For sure.
High-low is up. High-low, give me the dough. And most passing, most rushing, most receiving's up.
Well, they're playoff
cool
games,
numbers.
so
that's right. Long list.
You can put these props up immediately.
Yeah.
Let me give you some updated odds globally for the new head coach for these gigs that are now open. For the Bears, Ben Johnson, the new favorite at even money. Remember, Kingsbury was the short shot. Now he dropped down to plus 450. Aaron Glenn is 5-1, same number as Brian Flores. Marcus Freeman, 7-1. I saw them that they wanted to talk to some other. Remember the Arthur Smith stuff yesterday?
Matt Campbell, we got an email.
Matt Campbell. What?
Come on now.
Okay. Now this all comes down to how stunned would you be if Ben Johnson says, "Nah, I'm good. I love calling plays. I love coaching here at Detroit."
I can't do that.
What I would love the Lions to do is just say, "Here's $8 million a year. You're not going anywhere." Why can't they?
Mm-hmm.
They could if they wanted to.
Yeah, somebody.
Jacksonville's next head coach, Liam Cohen, minus $3. Ben Johnson, plus 150. Joe Brady is 5-1. All three of those guys, offensive guys. Vrabel is 9-1 to go there. The Raiders' next coach. Now, did you see this? The report that was floating around today?
Yes, very good.
Brady might want to pick up the phone and call Bill Belichick.
Yep.
I think the buyout that I saw for Belichick at North Carolina is $10 million.
You are correct.
Okay.
Would that be something? They pulled the Nick Saban on him, right? Well, I guess I have to say it. I'm not leaving the Miami Dolphins then the next day. But Belichick saying I didn't come here to leave. Mm-hmm. So that'd be something. It's like, okay, well, it's not I'm worth $1 billion. Here's $10 million. We're going to hire Belichick.
Sure. So the next head coach of the Raiders, Mike Vrabel, is plus 250. And that makes sense, obviously, because of the connection there to Tom Brady. If the Raiders could land Mike Vrabel or Belichick, it goes without saying, that's a home run offseason. In fact, I think I only know one diehard Tennessee Titans fan, maybe two, but the one guy who lives out here in Las Vegas, he hates the organization because they have no structure whatsoever. They flip-flop every single year and it drives him crazy. He loved Vrabel to the point where he told me yesterday that if the Raiders hired Mike Vrabel, he would seriously consider flipping his lifelong team from turning it from Tennessee into the Las Vegas. And he lives here. That's what it would take for him. Kingsbury 3-1. Ben Johnson 4-1. Same names, obviously, all over the place.
That's a guy where maybe he doesn't do it. Maybe Kingsbury says, I'm happy doing this calling plays with Daniels.
Yeah, he went through it already.
I had my shot, yeah. Didn't, ups and downs with Arizona. Do you know any Vodka Johnnies out there? This is what Dennis. Super Bowl squares. Friend wanted a square. Organizer of the pool wrote his name in the square. Changed the price from $100 to $200. When it came time to pay, he backed out. Me and my cousin bought the square, won $10,000. That. Vodka Johnny.
Mm-hmm. This is from Troy. He bought $300 of Bitcoin in 2016, which was about half a Bitcoin. Got sick of looking at my money going up and down, so I spent it on offshore gambling. Today, that's about $50,000. Not a huge number, but it'd be nice to have in my pocket. And the amount of stories, again, like that exist with just talking about Bitcoin, and that's it.
Just Bitcoin.
That's it, yeah.
Bob Vulgaris, congratulations, he's got a ton of it and done well for himself. Bought a soccer team and immediately got promoted. He was running a contest when he was hardcore NBA and a pro sports bettor, the best in the world. He gave someone $10,000 in Bitcoin to make a website, the best Fire John Barry website.
Right.
That's when he was back at ESPN doing games. How long? But he just gave, here's $10,000 in Bitcoin. And then the best is the guy who bought pizza with it.
Well, this is
I got 2 large pizzas he paid in Bitcoin.
Got an email on this from Daniel, that exact story. ftm@vsin.com is the email. The Bitcoin pizza story. Some guy in the UK bought 2 Papa John. Do they have Papa John's in the UK? Okay. For 10,000 Bitcoin in 2010. At the time, it was worth $41. Today, $700 million. I don't know if that math works out or not, but it sounds good to me, and I'll go with it.
Yeah. I imagine the guy I think it was San Francisco. You mentioned it earlier, though, but you get 10 guesses to retrieve his password and get it, and he'd use 9 of them.
I think the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal.
It was in the New York Times.
They had to do a story on that.
Yeah.
That's worse than Vodka Johnny by $1 million.
Uh-huh.
If you could never crack the code.
I hate doing that. I can't stand the password stuff.
There's
got to be a number. Something's got to be capital. You need a symbol in there.
So awful.
Give me a break.
By the way, so now
Then you got to send me a code, enter the code, put it in again. Give me a break.
I have to be in the market.
Stuff at DraftKings. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, now that this is my worst nightmare, I have to be in the market for a new phone. At 80%, my phone just starts shutting off now. And it powers off for 5 minutes, and I got to turn it back on. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
The process of actually going to Verizon or Mac and getting it, I'd rather move.
Yeah.
That's how much I hate that whole process.
Very good. Von Tobel, Murray coming up next. VSiN Primetime, cashing out 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Morning Line, Grace and Harrison, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Paul Charchian tomorrow. Brad Powers, Paul Stone.